Pro Con. Is binge watching a harmless pleasure or a harmful addiction? By procon.org. The term binge watch may seem like it's been around forever, but it was actually first used in 2003. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, to binge watch is to watch many or all episodes of a TV series in rapid succession, meaning one after another. The phrase gained popularity in 2013. That year, Netflix released the full 13-episode season of the series House of Cards all at once. In 2015, binge watch was declared the word of the year by Collins English Dictionary. The dictionary editors said the use of the term had increased by 200% in 2014. 73% of Americans admit to binge watching. The number is even higher among millennials, who were born between 1981 and 1996, and members of Generation Z, born between 1995 and 2020. 90% of millennials have said that they binge watch, as do 87% of Zs. Around 40% of viewers in these age groups binge watch an average of 6 episodes of television in one sitting. That's about 5 hours at a time. Helen Newstead is the head of language content at HarperCollins Publishing. She said that the rising popularity of the term binge watching is a sign of the biggest change in people's viewing habits since the introduction of the video cassette recorder nearly 40 years ago. The video cassette recorder, or VCR, allowed viewers to record any show they wanted to watch later. This meant they no longer had to stay home to see it. Binge watching has taken the world by storm. But is it a harmless pleasure or a harmful addiction? The pros and cons of binge watching are explored below. Pro: binge watching leads to beneficial social connections. Binge watching creates a sense of community around a show. Experts refer to this community as a shared cultural space. It's a form of common ground. It allows viewers to discuss and share their enjoyment of a show with everyone from a family member to a coworker to a stranger in line at the supermarket. Romantic relationships can also be strengthened by binge watching together. Binge watching creates a shared interest. It's a fun and easy way for couples to spend time together. Binge watching can also help couples who may be having family issues or going through other problems. If couples see fictional characters experiencing similar troubles, they may be able to better understand their real-life issues. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that binge watching can also help people in long-distance relationships. Sharing the pretend world of a show helps long-distance couples connect. It allows them to recreate the experience of friendships they miss out on by not living in the same place. Pro: binge watching has health benefits, like stress relief. According to psychiatrists, binge watching releases a chemical called dopamine in the brain. Dopamine creates a feeling of pleasure. It can help people relax and relieve stress. On top of that, psychologists say that finishing a series gives viewers feelings of control and power. This can be especially helpful for viewers who do not feel like they are in control of their daily lives. John Mayer is a psychologist. He says, "We are all bombarded with stress from everyday living, and with the nature of today's world where information floods us constantly, it is hard to shut our minds down and tune out the stress and pressures. Binge watching acts like a steel door," he says. "It blocks our brains from thinking about those constant stressors that force themselves into our thoughts." In other words, binge watching stops us from obsessing about the parts of our lives that stress us out. It gives our brains a break. Pro: binge watching makes a show more fulfilling. While binge watching, the viewer can experience the pleasure of full immersion in a story. Some call this being in the zone. This is a satisfying feeling. It's similar to staying up all night to finish a really exciting book. Today, many shows are made for binge watching. Consider the number of shows that Netflix releases as full seasons. Stranger Things is just one recent example. Watching many episodes at once can make it easier to follow the show's story. You are less likely to forget important details. As a result, shows made for binge watching can be more complex than shows meant to be watched week by week. Bingeable shows can feature complicated storylines, changing relationships, and many multidimensional characters. Stephen Johnson is an author. He writes about media and popular culture. Johnson says watching these more complex shows may actually make viewers smarter. Shows like this demand greater attention. Many require deep thought process deep thought to process and understand. Con, binge watching leads to mental health issues. A University of Texas study found that binge watchers were more likely to be depressed, lonely, and have less self-control than those who do not binge watch. Yoon Hae-sung was one of the authors of the study. She explained that when binge watching becomes a habit, viewers may start to neglect their work and their relationship with others. Even though people know they should not, they have difficulty resisting the desire to watch episodes continuously. Binge watching can even lead to addiction. Dr. Renee Carr is a psychologist. She has pointed out that the human body can become addicted to any activity or substances that can consistently produce dopamine. In fact, she says, the same pathways in the brain that are activated by drug addiction are activated by an addiction to binge watching. Another study found that rather than relieving stress, binge watching actually worsened stressful feelings like regret, guilt, and personal failure. These feelings were tied to a sense of wasted time and inactivity. When that binge-watching session finally reaches its end, the viewer may even feel depressed or anxious because their favorite show is over. Con, binge-watching leads to serious physical health problems. Binge-watching requires sitting for hours and hours. This behavior has been linked to serious medical issues such as heart disease, cancer, and blood clots. The frequent snacking that can accompany a binge-watching session can also be linked to weight gain and damaged arteries. One study found that binge-watching was related to poor sleep quality, fatigue, and insomnia. Getting very invested in a series right before bed winds the viewer up rather than helping them calm down. Some viewers may be unable to sleep as a result. Others may choose binge-watching over sleep. One survey found that just over 45% of binge watchers had stayed awake all night to binge watch a show. Con, binge watching makes the show less fulfilling. When viewers have to wait for the next episode of their favorite show, it may make them impatient. However, this experience can also be pleasurable. Damon Lindelof is the co-creator of Watchmen and other popular TV shows. He said that when we binge watch, we lose something, that Christmas morning feeling. The anticipation we used to feel simply doesn't exist in binge culture, he said. In a binge-watching society, we lose the pleasure of looking forward to and guessing about what will happen next. On top of this, many shows are just not made for binge-watching. Consider plot points that repeat after a commercial break or at the beginning of a new episode. If someone binge-watches, they'll notice more repetition. Also, the viewer won't have time between episodes to really think about the show. One study found that binge-watching lowered levels of sustained memory. It also lowered viewers' self-reported enjoyment levels.